What's going on, people? It's the Black Guy 410 here with another album review, and today we're going to talk about Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP2 album, which officially I think comes out tomorrow, but leaked early. I hopped on it just like a bunch of other people did, and no introduction, I guess, just jump right into it. When I first heard this album was coming out and that he was named it Marshall Mathers LP2, I think I had kind of a reverse thought process of what other people thought. Everybody else seemed to be extra excited, like, oh, he's gonna be back to the old M, blah blah blah. And I was on the other end of the spectrum. I was like, yeah, he's just doing this for hype. He had the album cover that resembled the first one and everything, but I wasn't expecting the old Eminem to come back. I kind of went into this album with pretty low expectations, because I've kind of accepted that the old Eminem, that guy's gone. He's, he might show flashes every now and then, but as a whole, I went into this album thinking, he's not as good as he used to be. This album probably isn't going to be too great. I wasn't too crazy about Berserk when that dropped. Same for Survival. I wasn't too crazy about that, but I still wanted to give it a listen. And I can say, though, after my first initial listen, even though I did go into this album with low expectations, it was actually better than I thought it would be. It wasn't great. I don't think it was as bad as some people are saying it is. I've heard some people, they think it's just straight trash. I won't go that far, but I wasn't too high on it. But he did have a couple of jams on here I can get with. For the most part, I felt like, and even from my first listen to now, which I think I've given it about three and a half, 4 listens, is I like the first half of the album a lot better than the second half. This album has 16 tracks, and I would say around after track 10 for me was when this album kind of slowly started to go downhill. I didn't like every song in the first 10, but they were bearable. After 10 for me, this album it dropped off just a little bit. But he had some positives, He did show shades of old Eminem flow-wise, definitely on some of the tracks on here. Content-wise, he jumped around. He had couple of goofy tracks on here. He had more serious tracks on here, some introspective ones. One particularly at the end, what was the name of that track? Headlights, where it was basically like kind of an open apology, I guess, to his mother. And, if you listen to Eminem, you know how their relationship was, and that was kind of an open apology to her. I didn't actually like the song that much, but content-wise, I thought that was pretty dope. And he did his dreadful singing, which I'm definitely not a fan of. I can always go without that. Unfortunately, he had a few songs on here with him doing his, if you can even call it singing, his kind of just, I don't know what to call it, but I'm not a fan of it at all. But while he's not as great as he used to be, he definitely, I guess I could say he's lost a step. I don't feel like he's as witty, and some of his punchlines are definitely a hit or a miss. But I think that it's just his old stuff, his old music, his old albums were so good that he's kind of been placed on this like godlike pedestal, to where like if he drops an album and it's not perfect, then people just say it's trash, which I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go out and say it's trash. And after a couple of listens, I'd say after my second, third listen, this album actually started to grow on me a little bit. Standout tracks, the opening track, Bad Guy, was pretty dope, which is like a sequel to the Stan track, which is like my favorite Eminem song ever. And that song is about Stan's brother. His name is Mitchell, and it's basically a track about him, getting revenge on M, for his brother's death. And I like the beat switch up at the end of the track they do toward the latter half of it. Rhyme or Reason was another good one on here. It showed kind of little flashes of old Eminem flow-wise. He switched up a few bars and did his little Master Yoda flow on here. I thought that was pretty cool. Survival, like I said, I wasn't crazy about it before. It's still not lyrically the best track ever, but it has kind of grown on me the more I've listened to it. Legacy was a dope track. Kind of an introspective / like self-analysis track of how he was when he was little and how he was, very introverted, and how that kind of, I guess, helped him become the person he is. Asshole featuring Skylar Grey was another one I liked. The singing hook from Skylar was kind of wasn't bad, but could have gone without it. But I like the production on here, the military drum style this gave off. Rap God was another good one. I can say about this, his bars on Rap God to me weren't super great because people hyped this track up really good. Now I do think it's definitely one of the best tracks on here. His lyrics to me weren't anything mind blowing, but the flow, man, he went off flow wise on this track, which is probably why people like it so much. And like I said, even though the lyrics aren't that great, the flow definitely makes up for it. Brainless was another good track I like on here, pretty aggressive track. And then after Brainless, for me, was when this album kind of started to hit its down skid a little bit. After Brainless, you get Stronger Than I Was, which was a track with his singing, quote unquote, which I could definitely do without. Then you went to the Monster featuring Rihanna, which was, typical radio single. Yeah, wasn't feeling that one either. So Far was I'm half and half on that song. It was a really goofy track, and I liked the first verse. To me, I like the rest of the song was okay. It's not a terrible track. It's probably one of the better tracks on the latter half for the CD. But I don't know. Sometimes it does it for me, sometimes it doesn't. Love Game featuring Kendrick Lamar. As a whole, this song kind of growing on me a little bit. Still, as a whole, I don't like the song, but Kendrick outdid Eminem using Eminem style pretty much. I thought Kendrick clearly outshined Eminem on this track, using that kind of goofy Eminem flow. If you never heard the track, when you listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Pretty much Kendrick is the only reason why I can actually sit and listen to that song, because I thought his verse and delivery were pretty dope. Then it goes into Headlights, which isn't not the best track. I could care less. The content, like I said, was dope with him kind of apologizing to his mom and all, but it's not something I'm gonna go back and listen to. And then he ends the album, with Evil Twin, which it was a pretty good way to close it out. It wasn't a great track to close it out, but it's still toward the latter half, it's definitely one of the better songs on the latter half of this album. As a whole, this wasn't a bad listen. Like I said, the more I listen to it, it is starting to grow on me a little bit more. It's not great, like I said, I think I like this album because I went into it with low expectations. So when I actually did hear stuff that I thought was good, I was like, oh, I didn't think he was actually going to come back this hard. At least to me, he did. I know some people probably don't feel the same, but like I said, the first half of this album was pretty good. Second half, he had a few throwaways. Even on the first half, he had a few tracks I didn't like. So Much Better, which is the fourth track on here. I didn't like that one too much, but overall, this wasn't that bad of a listen. Like I said, I've accepted that the old Eminem that I like and grew up listening to, that guy's he's gone. He's probably not gonna hit that peak. It happens to every rapper at some point. You hit that beast mode for a few years, and then eventually, you hit your downslide. Some people fall harder than others. I can say though, even though he's not as good as he used to be, I was kind of fumbling on the idea of whether I thought this was better than Recovery. And I think I can say after about 3 listens that it's definitely a step up from Recovery. he doesn't do. I didn't like on Recovery how he had that kind of just loud, angry flow on like every track. And this one, he still does that kind of loud, angry flow that can get a little, monotonous and annoying at sometimes. But he switched it up a whole lot more on here, and this definitely wasn't his mainstream friendly sounding, I guess, as Recovery was. But production wasn't great, it wasn't stellar or mind blowing, but it did its job. It held its own enough to, I guess get whatever feeling he was trying to get across on the tracks. But yeah, I can get with this. I don't know how everybody else is gonna feel. I know some people hate it. Some people love it. I'm kind of in the middle of the road. I can jam the first half of this album, and then, like I said, at the latter half, kind of losing me. But still, overall, this wasn't as bad a listen as I was anticipating. So, therefore, I went in with low expectations and ended up a little surprised. I liked it more than I thought. So, this album's actually alright with me. I can get with some of these tracks on here. But if you heard it, let me know what you think. Did you like it? Hate it? Why did you like it or hate it? It gets like I said, I say this in every review. I'm not too keen on doing ratings, but I give this if it was out of 10, maybe like a 6.5 to a 7 on a good day. Wasn't terrible, wasn't great, but I left here. There's a few songs I can still go back and listen to, but yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. And until next time, peace.